Hello, fellow cyborgs. Today I'm going to be talking with you about one of my favorite movies. I was recently invited by Liz to join in the Beyond the Cover blogathon. Liz runs the blog Now Voyaging. She and Christina over at Speakeasy have created this blogathon, which takes place from the 8th to the 10th of April, and it is to celebrate the wonders of cinema that had their origins in literature. I will leave all the links down below. Please go check out all the awesome blogs and video responses that are doing on this topic. So many movies, brilliant movies, have their roots in literature. And though it is important to love books, and we all know I love books, that's why I'm here on BookTube, I also love movies. And I especially love the one I'm going to be talking about today. And as you can tell from the title of this video, it is the Ghost and Mrs.Muir. So let me tell you a little bit about my experiences with this movie and generally what it's about before I get into my specifics and the things I want to talk to you about. So this is a ghost love story. This story takes place in the early 1900s in the British Isles. Newly widowed Lucy Muir is looking to set out on her own. She had previously been living with her late husband's family, but she wants to set up her own household and be her own woman. She moves into Gull Cottage, which has a very cheap rent because it is haunted by the sea captain Daniel Gregg. He wants his house to be a place for retired seamen to go for respite, but since he didn't leave a will, this house has constantly had tenants that he doesn't want to be there. She, Lucy Muir, strikes a bargain with the captain, and they quickly become friends, and the plot goes on from there. My best friend, who has been integral in my cultural education, sat me down one day and said, "We need to watch this right now." And my original response was to laugh at this movie. The music is loud and melodramatic, and some things that happen in it are a bit ridiculous. I didn't take it seriously, though I had a really fun time watching it. But the more I watch this movie, and I've watched it minimum 5 times now, the more I just absolutely adore everything about it. This film was created in 1947, and it is based off of a book by the same name by R.A. Dick, which is the pseudonym of Josephine Leslie. And that book was written in 1945, and I have in fact read the book. I don't have a copy with me, but it wouldn't be much to show you anyway, as my copy is bound like university library books, where it's that plasticky, textured, single color, front, no design on the front cover at all, just the name on the spine, so it's nothing much to look at. And I've only read it once. I need to reread it, and I remember enjoying it less than the movie and finding that the relationship dynamics between Captain Daniel Craig and Lucy Muir were slightly different in the book to the movie, and I preferred their interactions in the movie. And that's all I can remember from this story. But whether or not I am in love with the source material, I am in love with the movie. Fun fact, this was shot completely and entirely in California, even though it theoretically takes place somewhere on the British Isles, in a coastal town. It stars the likes of Gene Tierney, Rex Harrison, George Saunders, and a wee little Natalie Wood, who's also in Miracle on 34th Street. You may recognize Gene Tierney's name, as she is the eponymous Laura of that movie fame, also based on a book. And Rex Harrison was one of the Dr. Doolittles in the way back olden times. He was also in My Fair Lady with Audrey Hepburn. So why do I love this movie? It's not a perfect movie by any means, but I love this movie because of the atmosphere. A lot of it is the atmosphere. It takes place in the early 1900s, but especially the gowns that Gene Tierney wears have a 1940s shoulder line, which work just beautifully with the otherwise Edwardian Victorian silhouette. Her hair is cute and gorgeous, and it's romantic in its, the melodramatic sort of way. There's such a connection with the sea and sailing. Captain Daniel Craig has some of the best lines in this movie. I could listen to him talk all day long. I'm halfway through reading Moby Dick at the moment, and his story makes me really eager to pick up Moby Dick. he brings back in me this romantic feeling of being a seaman and being on the ocean and what that entails and everything like that. I am also a huge sucker for ghost love stories. In fact, I at one point thought that I was going to write a YA ghost love story. And by ghost love story, I mean one of the principal romantic interests, like, of the pair is dead and a ghost. For some reason, I just love this. I love this obstacle and the unreality of it and how romantic of an idea it is. And sometimes I think about, because I'm not with a significant other and I wonder, like, what if he's dead? If we're positing soulmates exist, let's say that, I had a soulmate and he died as a child in an accident, self-inflicted. I guess I'm just up a creek. But what if he died and somehow I don't know, there's just something probably problematic, but also just really romantic and enticing in that whole love story sort of arena. And I love it. And I will read any story that has this aspect to it, but I can't find enough of it. Lucy Muir is a really interesting character. She's really plucky and she wants to be independent. And this is the instigating point where the story begins, is wherein Lucy Muir is talking to her mother-in-law and her sister-in-law saying, I'm sorry, but I've made my mind. I'm leaving and I'm going to live my own life. And she has to learn how to navigate this world of being an independent adult female in a society where up until that point, she never had to do this. She perhaps had to run a household, but she had a husband making all of the financial decisions, all of the main decisions of life. And now she has to shoulder all of that. And society also deems her incapable of doing that alone. Again and again, she is told that she's, just a silly female and she doesn't understand. Even by, Daniel Craig. But again and again, she shows that she actually can stand on her own 2 feet, even if she does continuously get help along the way. As I said before, Captain Daniel Craig is just a really romantic figure in my eyes, and he starts out, grouchy and off-putting because he's trying to haunt people away from his house, but slowly you begin to understand him and warm up to him, and it reminds me very much of The Beast and Beauty and the Beast, and how at first he's off-putting and frightening and you don't understand him, and then you realize that in his core, he's, a sweet man and has a lot to say and has lived life and is someone you'd really like to hear talking, sitting in armchairs in front of a fire. This also has a really wonderful female friendship kind of relationship with Lucy Muir and her longtime housekeeper, lady's maid, Martha. Martha was apparently with her before she married Edwin Muir, and she takes Martha with her when she moves out of her husband's family's home. And so throughout this, Martha is a wonderful character, really shows the hardworking aspect of what a housekeeper and cook and laundress, that general sort of position in a household, the work that she has to do. So while Mrs. Muir is up napping before dinner, Martha is finishing the laundry and cooking dinner and staying on her feet, and she's just a really interesting character. And she's generally respectful, but there are instances in the movie where she has an opinion and she does not hesitate to tell Mrs. Muir she thinks that she's doing something wrong. And I really, really respect Martha for that. Martha's always her confidant in the journeys that Mrs. Muir takes in being an independent adult woman. Even if Martha can't provide support like the men in Mrs. Muir's life, she's there for emotional support and as a sounding board. And I really like that Martha was this steady rock in this, unknown that Mrs. Muir has to sail into when she leaves her dead husband's family's home. I really can't say much of anything else. The most of the beauty in this has to deal with my personal preferences and also just the tone of it. It's a feel-good movie, and it's sweet, and it's, cinematic, and it's got the seaside and Victoriana and ghosts, and it's just, there are also a couple crocheted blankets that I really kind of just want to copy and have a Mrs. Muir blanket on my bed, but that's not what we're here for. If I haven't convinced you yet to at least look into watching The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, then I'm sorry, but I just apparently cannot communicate my love. However, if I have convinced you to pick up either the book or the movie, I am really well pleased because this is my favorite silver screen movie. It beats out Some Like It Hot, it beats out Audrey Hepburn movies, and I adore Audrey Hepburn. It beats out Dark Passage with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. The Ghost and Mrs.Muir is my silver screen movie, and I'm so happy that I got to talk about it with you during this Beyond the Cover blogathon. It was such a delight to be able to do this. I thoroughly hope that you check out the links below and all the other bloggers and vloggers who are talking about cinema who has its roots in literature. Please let me know in the comments down below, do you have a favorite movie that has its roots in literature? It's okay, you can even, this is a safe space, admit when you prefer a movie to a book. I would love to hear what you prefer cinematically over literary-wise. Thank you for watching. Until next time, go watch The Ghost and Mrs.Muir and continue to be lovely.